Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some more Dreadnought and talking the community update. So if you guys remember, not too long ago we had some serious issues with the server and some currency not really showing up. So they've decided that they're going to be giving us some really cool stuff in this next update, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown on all of that stuff. So they have announced exactly what we're getting as far as compensation goes. And we're all going to be getting 100,000 credits, 100,000 free XP, and 150 GP. And don't forget, we're also getting 7 days of elite status. Now, they didn't mention you having to have elite status during the outage, but it seems as though everyone is getting a full week of elite. So when you get that, when you log in after the update, make sure to make the best use of it. It does come in handy. During the maintenance window, the PS4 servers are also going to be going down. It looks like the maintenance is going to be today as you're watching this, and it's probably going to run for about half a day. I don't actually know, but on average, that's what they block aside time for, just in case things don't go perfectly well. So as a very brief rundown of things that are coming, we are going to be getting a global chat in Hangar. They're going to do some balancing changes. Secondary loadouts are going to be added, which is huge. I can't tell you how many times I've needed to do a slight adjustment to my loadout based on what everybody else was running after I know what map it is. The module dependencies in the tech trees have been removed, which means you can get to the modules that you want, not necessarily at a lower cost. Everything should still cost about the same, but you don't have to research modules that you don't like just to get to a module that you do like, assuming that you're going to be happy running the ship for a little bit. It should make the grind a little bit easier. They're also going to be updating the end of match screen, so there's going to be less time waiting for all of the things to pop up. It's going to be a lot more streamlined as far as I can tell, and it's going to be a lot prettier. In my opinion, it looks a little bit more like what I would expect for the PS4 side, but I will say this, that it looks excellent. Also wanted to point out, in the updates, we've been getting some good content as well as information about what's coming up next. They've done a community creation spotlight for a couple of different streamers, a couple of us YouTubers, and just the other partners in general. As far as the balancing changes go in update 1.11, there's going to be a couple of different themes. The first main theme is going to be more variety for tier 3 ship. We're also going to be seeing mines make an appearance and some more player feedback. As far as tier 3 ships, they're going to be adding a couple of new modules and weapons into the tier 3 ships. The added modules and weapons are not actually going to affect the number of modules that need to be researched in order to reach the next ship. You can research, purchase, and equip modules in any order you like to make your tier 3 gameplay a bit more rewarding. As far as mines are concerned, the original idea for mines was to create a module that would restrict enemy movement. The problem with mines up until now is that they didn't spread out far enough to fulfill that task. A minefield gave an impression of a grapevine, which resulted in situations where a single Dreadnought could pass through them, clearing the entire field, which defeated its purpose. They didn't want mines to be overcome that easily, especially if the clearing ships were not even destroyed in the process, which was often the case when it was Dreadnought going through clearing. And to achieve that, they've made some changes to the way mines work. They will now spread out further when being deployed. Mines will remain active longer after the ship that has laid them has been destroyed and their health has been buffed, which will make them withstand a pulse. Some mines now also have a larger effect and are triggered faster. They've also adjusted the Corvette mines that were often used like unguided bombs, which is not what they intended. They're now going to act a bit more like an actual mine. And the last theme is player feedback. So one thing that particularly stood out was artillery cruisers. Those ships moved up the food chain. Honestly, I was never really the hugest fan, but I know some folks who absolutely loved them, and I can say a bit of a change was definitely needed. Right now, the mine catapult is so powerful that a well-placed shot can take out an entire command ship at once. They think that that's a bit too much, and artillery cruisers also feature highly effective disruptor beams that enable an experienced player to cover and protect the entire team. These two modules at the artillery cruiser's disposal made them extremely versatile vehicles that were becoming a bit too versatile in their opinion. In this update, they will be continuing to evaluate the artillery cruisers and will make additional changes if necessary. Another ship class that they made changes to based on community feedback is the light tactical cruiser. Light tacticals made an effective countermeasure to corvettes, but the way they were used makes them more like a corvette trap than a corvette hunter, and they wanted to give these ships a bit more aggressive profile and enabled them to actively hunt corvettes. In order to achieve that, they've increased the speed, so they can now follow corvettes for a bit longer and have a bigger window of opportunity to shoot them down. The destroyer speeds, on the other hand, have not been touched because these ships are already in a good spot and are not really supposed to hunt corvettes anyway. Now we're going to take a quick look at the new modules and balance changes that they have made in this new update. The new modules in Tier 3 for the Destroyer are Storm Missiles 3 and Weapon Amplifier 3. For the Corvettes, Scrambler Mines, Immelman Maneuver, the Dreadnought, they get the Tartarus Missile and Offensive Lockdown. Artillery Cruisers get Stasis Auto Beams and Proximity Mines, and Tactical Cruisers will get the Overclock Module and Stasis Beam. All of these Tier 3 modules, by the way. New secondary weapons in Tier 3. For the Destroyers, they get Light Particle Turrets, Corvettes get Plasma Turrets, Dreadnoughts get Heavy Flak Turrets, Artillery Cruisers get Machine Gun Turrets, and Tactical Cruisers get Light Machine Guns. As far as the mines go, what they've changed is the projectile max travel distance increased from 500 meters to 700 meters, and it determines how far away you can set up a minefield. Projectile max range increased from 500 to 700 meters, and that determines how far individual mines of a minefield get spread out. The mine trigger delay was reduced from half a second to 0.1 of a second, and that determines how soon after activation a mine detonates. This does not apply to the mines from Mine Catapult. Mine lifetime after owner death has increased from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. This does not apply, once again, to the mines from the Mine Catapult. And mine health has been increased from 500 to 750, although that does not apply to tactical cruiser mines. Next, we've got the changes to the Tier 3 Dreadnoughts. As far as health goes, Tier 3 Dreadnoughts had very low health compared to Tier 4, and since Tier 2 have been removed from veteran matches, the Tier 3s can now be made to hold their own against Tier 4, so they have been buffed a little bit. Tier 3 Light Dreadnoughts have increased their health from 36,000 to 38,000, and Tier 3 Medium Dreadnought has increased the HP from 45,000 to 48,000. Bomber mines. Mine activation radius has increased from 100 meters to 240 meters. When you move into Tier 4 Dreadnoughts, mine damage radius has increased from 140 meters to 400 meters. Mine damage has increased from 1,000 to 2,000. Mine scramble duration has increased from Mine scramble duration has increased from 0.5 to 2. And as far as the Tier 5 Dreadnoughts go, the mine damage radius increased from 170 meters to 400 meters. Mine damage increased from 1,200 meters to 3,000 meters. And as far as the Tier 5 Dreadnoughts go, mine damage radius has increased from 170 meters to 400 meters. The mine damage has increased from 1,200 to 3,000. And the mine scramble duration has increased from 1 to 2. Plasma broadsides, still talking about Dreadnoughts. According to our feedback, they have been outclassed by ballistic broadsides, which have a higher range and a shorter cooldown. As far as plasma broadsides go, they have been buffed. Tier 2 Plasma Broadside projectile damage has increased from 975 to 1000, for Tier 3 960 up to 1000, and for Tier 5 from 900 to 1000 for the Plasma Broadsides. And now on to tractor beams. The Tier 2 duration has increased from 12 to 15 seconds, Tier 3 15 to 18 seconds, Tier 4 15 to 20 seconds, and for Tier 5 the duration has increased from 15 to 20 seconds. Moving right along, we get into the destroyers. Their health has been buffed from 36,000 to 38,000 in Tier 3, and for the Protean auto guns for all tiers, Tier 1 has increased damage from 270 to 430, Tier 2 175 to 280, Tier 3 from 190 to 305, Tier 4 from 150 to 240, and Tier 5 projectile damage increased from 150 to 280. Rolling right along, we get into the Corvette. Their auto guns duration has increased and standardized from 16 seconds to 20 seconds. The heavy torpedo cooldown was reduced from 55 seconds to 45 seconds in Tier 1. Tier 2 cooldown is reduced from 50 seconds to 40 seconds. Tier 3, 45 seconds to 35 seconds. Tier 4, 43 seconds to 30 seconds. And for Tier 5, cooldowns were reduced from 40 seconds to 25 seconds. Scrambler mines, all tiers. Corvette mines were acting more like an unguided bomb, like we discussed earlier, and they've changed it to make them behave a bit more like an actual mine. Mine damage has increased from 800 to 1200. Mine activation radius from 160 meters to 240 meters. Mine damage radius increased from 200 meters to 400 meters. And for the light proximity mines, mine activation radius has increased from 160 meters to 240 meters. And the damage radius has increased from 200 meters to 400 meters. For artillery cruisers, all auto beams on all tiers. Range has been reduced from 2,000 meters to 1,500 meters. Mine catapult, all tiers. They've determined that the mine catapult is a bit overpowered and needed a nerf, so mine activation radius has increased from 200 meters to 440 meters. Damage radius increased from 240 meters to 480 meters. Mine trigger time is increased from half a second to 1 second. Tier 4 mine damage has been reduced from 7,500 to 5,000. And for Tier 5, mine damage has reduced from 6,000 to 3,750. Proximity mines, mine activation radius has increased from 200 meters to 440 meters. Tier 3, cooldown has increased from 6 seconds to 12 seconds. Tier 4, it has increased from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And for Tier 5, mine cooldown has increased from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. And your stasis mines, for all tiers, mine activation radius has increased from 200 meters to 440 meters, and mine damage radius has increased from 240 meters to 480 meters. And in Tier 3, mine cooldown has increased from 6 seconds to 12 seconds. Tier 4, 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And Tier 5, mine cooldown has increased from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. Last but not least, in the tactical cruisers, the overclock module, Tier 5 cooldown has reduced from 45 seconds to 40 seconds. For the tractor beam pods, the maximum active pods has increased from 1 to 2. For Tier 3, the cooldowns have been reduced from 80 seconds to 65 seconds. For Tier 4, 75 to 60 seconds. And for Tier 5, the cooldown was reduced from 70 seconds to 55 seconds. And speed has been buffed for the light tactical cruiser only. The Tier 3 forward force has increased by 42%. The reverse force has increased 44%. Tier 4, 44% forward and reverse increase. And for Tier 5, 44% forward and reverse increase. Well, guys, I think that's about where we're going to call it. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, leave a comment if you've got something more complex to say, and definitely hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this coming out. Thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.